Hi, my name is Eva Locke. I am the Job Center Supervisor here at the Job Center of Lake County. And today I'm going to talk to you about one of the most requested services here at the Job Center of Lake County, and that is resumes. I am actually a certified resume writer through Career Directors International. Now, unfortunately, resumes are evaluated subjectively, so you just have to do your very best with the resume. I have a couple of top tips for you here today, though. First of all, I want you to understand that you prepare your resume for two things. You prepare your resume for a live reader. And if you look at your resume and you say, gee, I wouldn't want to read this, guess what? An employer's not going to want to read it either. I'm going to give you some tips for how to format your resume in a more attractive manner so that it will be appealing to the human reader. Additionally, though, you're preparing your resume for an applicant tracking system. Now, you might say, what is that? An applicant tracking system is a computerized system that employers use to pre-screen resumes. The applicant tracking system uses an algorithm to determine how well you match a specific job listing. In other words, it's very important that your resume needs to be packed with keywords that will trigger or let the applicant tracking system know that you are appropriate for a specific job listing. And that leads me to my top tip. Your resume must be targeted for a specific position. It's possible that you may be looking for two different types of positions, and that's fine, but you do need to prepare different resumes for each of your target jobs. You have a number of choices when developing your resume. There are actually a number of online or web-based tools that can help you develop a resume now. I do want to warn you to be cautious with these. Here at the Job Center, we've seen a number of people work on their resume online only to find out that the particular website that they were on wanted them to plug in a credit card number before it would allow them to print their resume or share the resume with employers. Here's a simple idea for you. Just develop your resume using Microsoft Word. Don't use the Microsoft Word templates, however. Some of the resume templates on Microsoft Word are questionable. Instead, just open a blank document and start typing the resume. I'm going to give you a very simple format for your resume. You can also visit the Job Center of Lake County. We hold a resume lab, typically on a weekly basis, or visit one of our resume workshops. Let's talk about the format of your resume. The simplest design is this. Use 1-inch margins all the way around your resume. This helps to make the document more readable. In terms of the size of the font, use an 11 or a 12-point font. Use a simple business font like Calibri or Georgia. Single space your resume. In between section headings, you can double space. Avoid the use of graphic elements that can mess up an applicant tracking system. Examples of this might be lines, borders around the resumes, italics, or other graphic elements. And then finally, use bold selectively. You want to just bold the keywords that are most critical toward helping you get your next job. Typically, these are your previous job titles and degrees. You may be wondering about the preferred length of your resume. At one time, resumes needed to be 1 page in length. Resumes now can be longer than that. This is partially to satisfy the needs of the applicant tracking systems. I have seen effective resumes that are 2 pages, sometimes 3 pages in length. Here's what you need to know. Your resume should be an appropriate length for your target job. If you are targeting an entry-level position, you might use a shorter resume. If you are targeting a leadership or management position, you'll probably use a longer resume. So in terms of a resume design, here are some headings that I suggest to you. Obviously, your resume is going to start with your contact information. That will include your name, your city and state, the best phone number to reach you at, and an email address. If you have a LinkedIn account, you can list your LinkedIn URL in this section. The next section will be the summary or the profile section. In this section, in 2 or 3 sentences, you're going to explain or summarize how your background in education makes you uniquely qualified for your target position. The next section will be the accomplishment section. This is optional, but it is one of my favorite sections on a resume. In the accomplishment section, you're going to list a few things that you've done in previous positions or in volunteer experience or in other life experiences that make you qualified for this next position. Please use metrics if you can. Give us numbers, talk about timeframes or dollars saved on a specific project or during an event. The next section on the resume typically is your experience section or your work history. List your most recent job first. Now you may be wondering, how far back do I go on my resume? A typical resume is going to list back 5 to 15 years. Overall, we don't want to see the year 1995, 19 anything on the resume. Stick to the 2000s, please. The next section on the resume will be the education or the training section. You will list your highest levels of education or training in this area. Now, if you completed education or training that is very relevant and is fairly recent, you may want to consider moving this section above the experience section. Whichever section is most relevant, you're going to put first on the resume. What else can you add on to a resume? Some additional headings might be military. They might include volunteer experience if this is relevant. Think about what other aspects of your life might be interesting to future employers. Now that you've set up your resume, it's time to polish it. And I'm going to suggest 3 ways that you can do that. First off, find somebody who's an expert in your specific field and ask them for feedback. Take them out for coffee. Show them your resume and talk about your goals, and then ask them what they think of the document. They may be able to give you feedback about keywords that you are missing or things that you need to do so that you can be more marketable to future employers. Secondly, I suggest that you use a resume optimization tool. We like JobScan.co. On JobScan.co, you will paste your resume on one side of the screen. On the other side of the screen, you will paste a specific job listing. The tool will then give you a match rate, it will suggest what an applicant tracking system might see as the match between these two, the resume and the job listing, and it will suggest ways that you can get a better match rate. Once you've talked to your subject matter expert and you've used a resume optimization tool, your last step is to find somebody who's very good at English and grammar. We all know someone like that. Find that person and ask them to do a final proofread on your resume. Sometimes there can be a glaring mistake on your resume that spell checker doesn't catch, and you may not catch because you knew what you meant to say, and that's what you read on the page, even if there's an error on the page. So find that English expert and ask them to do a final proofread on your document before you send it to employers. So now that you've developed your resume, we're looking for a 10% success rate on the resume. So for every 10 resumes that you send out, we want at least one employer to be contacting you back. If you're not hitting that, it is time to come see us at the Job Center of Lake County. Visit our website at lakecountyjobcenter.com. Click on calendars to see our specific calendar of events. Look for our next resume workshop or resume lab. Thanks.